I?
That's true. You're
Yeah.
here. This is automatically a crime against comedy. But
Ooh.
you know what? You know what? I genuinely can say I
crime against
appreciate
comedy.
you being here and appreciate you
But
as
you
my
know
friend.
what? You know what?
It's because of the shipping
I
fuel, isn't it?
genuinely can say
Indeed.
I
Against
appreciate you
Hold
being
on, we
here
didn't
and,
have the
and
aw moment there. Okay,
appreciate you
everybody,
as
you
my
know
what you
what?
think?
friend. You know
Aw.
what?
Because of the shipping
Aww.
I
fuel, isn't it?
genuinely can say
Indeed.
I
Cover yourself in barbecue sauce.
here
We
and
didn't have the
Oh my. Oh yes, but the comedy police will be upon me just as soon as they apprehend Carlos Mencia.
Well.
Oh right,
it
I should
depends.
start the intro, shouldn't I?
Sure.
Oh, we're live now.
Oh, whoops. That was the one from last week. My bad.
Uh-oh, what did
Big
you do?
oof.
I played the intro from last week that says the end in Friends at the bottom instead of the one from this week that says Yakkety Sax. That's totally on me. I clicked the wrong one. I'm sorry. I must have uploaded last week's. Please don't be mad at me, chat.
I am angry.
Get the pitchforks and everything out, please.
Okay, so, ladies and gentlemen, we are here this week to talk about Yakety Sax. What is honestly, apparently, regarded as the worst episode of the season. However, I have challenged our reviewer staff here to rise above and attempt to actually be better in creating not only a better episode, but finding at least one or two positive things to go over with this episode. That much said, who wants to start? Because I'm not going to throw a hand grenade at anyone. I'm going to let them pull the pin themselves.
Are we going to introduce ourselves first?
Yes, let's introduce ourselves. Hi, everyone. I'm Fiaura. I'm the one doing all the talking. Let me turn on all the doodads. There's the chat. There's the alerts button. And there's our lovely, lovely, lovely list of people here on Discord with us this week. So, I'm Fiaura. I host this shenaniganry. I try my best to moderate it. I do science, and I will see you guys at Ciderfest. That is my entire spiel. Oh, and I do Fallout Equestria on Wednesday night and drunk writing streams on Saturday night when I'm not low on blood. In the meantime, who wants to go first?
I think we start from the bottom going up this time around.
You are correct, sir.
Alright, so I am the Brony Critic. I specialize in fandom reviews. I review material created by the fans for the fans, mostly fan fiction. And as far as this episode goes, I actually, I might surprise you guys with my general opinion on the episode. I also want to wish Fiaura, I'm glad that she's back from her injuries. Solar?
I apparently yell at things, and people seem to enjoy that aspect, even though it's actually pretty substanceless altogether. I don't do anything in this community very much, except for this now, so that's kind of a positive, I guess. And yeah, this episode was an experience. Um, Good or bad, that's for you to decide.
And I am known as the Silver Quill. I do the YouTubes and some comics. Also post on Equestria Daily. I just came for a funeral, so if you can believe I'm going to go crazy this episode to get some humor back in my life, you're darn tootin'.
Silver Quill, I have to ask, if I can be out for a week because of stitches, you're really going to come here after a funeral?
Well, Fiaura, I thought that event was funny because, it had you in stitches.
God damn it.
That was legitimately good! He can tell a good joke! Crap!
Yeah, I've already triumphed.
Someone save me.
But heavy is my heart because Golden Fox is not here and he still owes me $1.75.
Oh, trust me, we owe you more because there was some continuity.
What? Sure. But
Oh yeah, Fiaura said that during the episode. Give this man a rubber tortilla.
But I got to say, I'm a little surprised to hear that people regard this as the worst episode. My least favorite this season was non-compete clause. So this one, there's some stuff I'd offer changes and perhaps their perspective. I even have some feedback from other fans. But by and large, I thought there were some really enjoyable parts, and it actually sets the stage for how to offer a good critique.
Well, on Moon Knight, I do YouTube videos. I do also sing some covers. I was absent last week and stuff because I got a little bit sick, but thankfully the podcast got well until this week. Regarding this episode, all I have to say is I'll try to give like it. Yeah, it's difficult to say some like legit criticism for this episode. There is criticism that I can give it, but I do think it's one of the worst ones. There's some really bad ones in this season, so you'll just have to listen a bit more. I'll give my opinion in a bit, but Master Code.
Hello, everybody. This is your Ace Analyst Master Code. That's right, your super sexy stallion of the stars. And as for this episode, I will tell you that even though there's a dark cloud that hovers over it, I will say that there is some good stuff, which I will cover. Now, to our next person, Insane Spyro.
Hello, I am Spyro, the greatest dragon in gaming, and now apparently the art slave of this fine group. And I also do the YouTube of game reviews, first impressions, let's plays, and all that other stuff. And I've got a piece for you, but I also have a little tale to tell you with this one as well. So I don't know if you want to save that for now or for at the end.
I say now, or it's up to Fiaura. You want to do it now, or you want to save the picture and story for later?
All right, so I'm gonna just do something and switch push to talk off for a moment so I can tell this.
Yep, when you're ready, just go ahead and put in the artwork chat.
Yeah. So obviously last week we were talking about the vault situation and Mary Quill. And throughout everybody's rambling, I can't remember whether it was you, Brony, that said it, but you first said that Mary Quill was the daughter of Silver and Mary. And at that point, I was starting to just draw it, and I thought, okay, that's that. And then someone said it was them. And then Master brung up the idea of, because the barbecue sauce is currently going to burn through the vault, he brung up the alien thing like acid blood. And this is the picture that spawned from it, which is just being uploaded. And now it might take a while to process. It's a biggie. And I'm going to bring up...
You put in an announcement, not artwork.
I did. My bad.
That's silly.
Let me know when everybody can see it.
The trauma is real.
It's only about to get worse. So when I was drawing the barbecue sauce burning, it was like, how can it burn? What is in this barbecue sauce? And I sat down and thought about it. Who's ever played SCP?
This guy.
Thank God, no.
SCP, some crappy Parcheesi?
No, special containment procedure.
Also,
Okay.
secure containment
I'm-
effect if you're that guy.
There are words.
Well,
Wow.
save those words, because here's a little tale for you. Are we all sitting comfortably? Good.
Yes, guide us through this picture.
Today, class, we are going to be looking at SCP-777. Classification, object. Threat, Euclid. Other name, the perfect barbecue sauce. SCP-777 to the normal eyes appears to be nothing more than a regular 500ml bottle of standard barbecue sauce, with no discernible or notable features other than the bottle itself being pink and a single label round the middle, the bottle saying the perfect barbecue sauce. No other information like ingredients, nutritional information, or others that you would find on a standard food packaging are present. The bottle itself, while seeming to be made out of glass, is in fact on the level of diamond or even stronger. The carbon atoms in the bottle are constructed and are so densely packed that so far destruction has been impossible, with damage tests coming from increasing forces such as baseball bats, double-fold steel maces, a standard 9mm handgun, shotgun, cannonball, TNT, and so far the highest damage output, 3 liters of nitroglycerin placed in a bottle next to the barbecue sauce inside of a nuclear bunker and detonated, without even a single speckle of dust present on SCP-777. It is hypothesized that from this bottle is a indestructible metal that may be either undiscovered or from another dimension. Special containment procedures. SCP-777 is to be stored in a class...
The fact that you gave Mary Quill anything close to this is straight up nuts.
Oh, wait till you hear about the source.
No, we're good. That's
Really?
that's a good stopping point.
Put it in the DeviantArt page.
Well, I'll just copy and paste it. Oh, I would have thought that the rest of the chat might have wanted to hear about the special.
No, I mean that's one thing, but we're not SCP readings. We're Pony Review Analyst.
I'd like to point out that Fiaura is wearing her coat, but Master Code is naked for whatever reason.
Yeah, what's up with that?
Oh, Master Code, you kinky devil.
And I've apparently shaved.
Yeah, Burning Critic shaved.
He lost the goatee.
No, wait. He auctioned his beard off to charity so we could afford to get away from the barbecue sauce.
That's what the vault is. Yeah, we just bought it with the beard money.
Don't you make it so that I now have to start selling like little felt beards and stuff. That's not happening.
Oh, well, that's a good thing because it's already happened. How do you think we have the vault?
So, moving on to the episode Yakety Sax. Pinkie comes back to Ponyville with a new instrument. She's incredibly enthusiastic. So enthusiastic, it's intoxicating. However, said instrument she's terrible at. Her friends reveal this to her, resulting in her wanting to run away to Yakistan to listen to the instrument, and because everyone hates her playing it. That is the synopsis of this episode. I mean, automatically I know I'm not going to be the most enthusiastic about this episode because it's about Pinkie Pie. But since we start at the bottom this week, Brony Critic, here's a hand grenade. Start unwrapping it.
The irony of the situation is, as much as people were building it up, I actually don't mind this episode all that much. The idea is pretty good, and the reason is, how many of you guys, just a quick question, how many of you guys were ever in band or ever played an instrument growing up?
Hey, I do the most awesome hot crust bums on a recorder you've ever heard.
Exactly, that was my point. Most of us here probably in like, 4th or 5th grade, around the age demographic for this show, probably started playing the recorder in our music classes. And I happen to remember that I was god-awful at it. Which is why I eventually went to a brass instrument. Woodwinds aren't my thing. But
Same.
but that's not the point. The point is, the concept behind this episode, the potential lesson, could have been great. Where this episode failed was in its execution. It didn't commit to. It started to build up towards one lesson, and then it decided to switch halfway through and go to another lesson, but it didn't build up to that lesson. The lesson I think they wanted to get across, and they built it up through several of the scenes, is, Pinkie Pie is being disruptive and loud and annoying and being very rude to her friends. I think if they had, committed that to being the part of the episode where it's not that she's bad at playing, it's that she's being obnoxious with her practice schedule. And, any of us who've ever had to play an instrument knows that you have to make concessions. It's annoying to your friends and your family when you're practicing and you're terrible at it. It's awful. It's horrible. So what I think this episode could have been that would have made it so much better is if the entire episode is, she's starting to play the instrument. She's not good at it, but it starts off, she's being very respectful, being very courteous. And people are like, she's not bad, but I can see her enthusiasm. And they start to support her in that venture. And then as the episode goes along, she starts getting more and more obnoxious, more and more rude. And finally it comes to a head where they have to say, it's not that she's bad, it's that you are being very rude. You are disrupting our day-to-day lives. You are making it very difficult for us to do things. We're glad you're enjoying it. We're glad you're happy. We're glad you found something you love to do. But this isn't cool. And if they commit that part to the episode and then have a situation of her being upset and sad and then say, how do we fix this? How do we solve it? Build her a quiet room, build her a practice room, and then hire on a Yakystan tutor, which they even build up the potential of having a Yakystan tutor. Sorry, needed a drink of water. If they had that, I think this episode could have been amazing. It could have been a great lesson, especially for kids who are learning how to play instruments, who are learning about what it means, how it's okay to have a passion. It's okay to love something immensely, but you should never allow your passion for something to overcome the comfort of the people around you. That's a great lesson to learn, especially for kids. They just don't commit to it. They instead kind of switch it up to, it's okay to be terrible at something as long as you love it. That's not really a good lesson. And, I think that's really kind of my problem with it. The episode itself is still great animation, a great concept, but they just don't commit to the lesson they build up at the beginning. That's about it for me.
Anybody want to rebuttal him for a second?
Well, he basically brought out my points, so I'm gonna have to come up more on the fly.
Well, if I wanted to run with your concept, Bernie Critic, one of the things I would say is that they would have to have a section of the episode where they build Pinkie a practice space that she doesn't disrupt others, but others are free to come in and listen and critique.
I actually envision, you guys remember that soundproof bubble that Starlight trapped Trixie within during Hill's Screamfest into Where and Back Again? I could see them constructing such a space for Pinkie to play, and then brave or adventurous souls such as Yona could sit in and listen. I think Yona would be a rapt audience member.
Yeah, actually, keeping Yona in the episode might have actually improved it. Make Yona a quintessential part. Make a Yona Pinkie Pie episode.
I mean, okay, the thing with this episode is that, one, it could have went to so many other good things. Like, it starts sort of okay because we already get to the part where Pinkie Pie is like annoying everyone. And it's like she's in your bedroom, she's in your house, she's in your bathroom. Like she's just playing the thing all over the place. I get that maybe when kids play guitar or something, that maybe they want to go play it all around the place. But I think she was exaggerating a little bit. Now the second thing about getting the students, or I don't know, someone else, like I don't know, a critique or someone around. That actually could have been interesting, but the thing is that I think they try to center too much on the main six, and that is a problem that, well, this whole season kind of has. Like, it's supposed to be about the school, but then they just, oh, let's have just a ton of main six episodes because well, they're the main protagonists, they have to be here. Same with the non-compete clause that Silver Quill was saying, was like, it's like your did you say that it's the least favorite of the season?
My least favorite.
Your least favorite. So it's like a trending theme. Like most of the, if not all of the main six episodes are the one that are mostly the low tones. Some that are to come, like for example, Sounds of Silence, and others usually get really like they have a good song or a good theme, but when going to the main six back and not focusing on different stuff like students or different cultures or a different kind, they sort of repeat stuff. They sort of tend to repeat lessons or just derive of the lesson completely, which happened in this episode.
All right, so are you done?
But I think I got kind of skipped.
Yeah, let's go back to Quill
Well, what Solar? Did you want to add anything?
and Solar. And Seg.
Like I said, Shoujo basically just swiped my points. So, or Brony Critic, I'm sorry, whatever.
Well, like, go over them in your own words. Let's hear it.
I mean, it's more or less the same idea I was having, where it was basically, okay, yeah, you can enjoy. The thing I didn't like is basically the episode was pointless because the knowledge that we ended with. Because you can have an episode where a character does not really do anything significant and still have it be a good episode because, you know, the character now has the experience or they have knowledge on something that they learned over the course of the episode. But it's basically this episode, the knowledge that you end with is pretty much the same as what you start with. Yeah, it's okay to be passionate about something. And then that's it. It's okay to be passionate, but don't be a dick about it, which is what I'm pretty sure all of us were thinking the episode was going to be. Like, I'm pretty sure that all of us had that idea that it was going to be, oh, you know, you can like something you're not good at, but don't intervene with other people's lives while you're doing it. But instead, it's just like, oh, yeah, you can like something you're not good at, and that's it. And like the Brony Critic stated, the episode could have definitely ended on something more along the lines of, oh, there's this yak here that knows how to actually play this instrument and not make it sound bad. But they're not going to be a tutor, which is like, why introduce them? Because they tell us the same thing that we already know. It's just, it's nice to like something for the third time. Woohoo. So, yeah, that's pretty much all I have on it. It's just, it's not terrible. It's nothing, basically. It's just, you start with nothing, you end with nothing. That's my opinion.
Well, let's see. For me, funny enough, the low point was actually when Twilight and Friends were trying to give a critique. And this is where I think Brony Critic and I divert in opinions. I like that the message is you don't have to be great at something in order to enjoy it. Simply do it because you love it. I think as older fans, we're aware of the secondary parts. You should show courtesy towards those around you. But I think it's okay to just tackle do what you love, and we'll work and then refine it maybe in a future episode. I don't know. Although I just had a conspiracy theory. What if Twilight decides that this will be the new disciplinary feature? You misbehave in her school of friendship, you have to listen to a Pinkie Pie practice session.
Oh, is that like whenever somebody here misbehaves, we have to listen to you make puns?
Oh no, that's equal opportunity. You do good.
The My Little Pony equivalent to Vogon poetry.
You already put me in stitches today. What's the worst you could possibly come up with?
More stitches!
I could
Hey, you put yourself into stitches.
I could compare Pinkie Pie's method of travel through Sweet Apple Acres to a South Park episode. Come on, tell me you guys remember the ones where
I know what you're talking about. I just didn't want to steal your thunder.
Randy wants to have medical marijuana, so he develops a very awful way of getting it.
Anytime Randy is mentioned, I feel like I need alcohol immediately.
You asked what I could do to make it worse. But for me, the low point was Twilight's critique. Now, one, I applaud that Applejack was not letting Twilight pull this again. She's like, nope, you tried this with Celestia, it didn't work. We're going to be direct and honest about this. But Twilight's critique, though given from a place of care, basically amounted to you should only do things you're good at. And so Pinkie's sort of depression was kind of understandable. Because I think one could interpret that as saying, my friends only like being around me because I'm good at this. When I find something I like but I'm not good at, suddenly I've lost my utility. My words, not hers. So that part I didn't mind, but it is that message of we think you should only do stuff you're good at. I think that was a very flawed critique. And so when Pinkie's bummed out, it's like, well, yeah, that's what a bad critique can do to you. It's also funny that what was it? It was a Crusaders episode just after they got their marks. I'm trying to remember.
Which one?
It's the one where Tender Taps was first introduced, and
the one where Apple Bloom is trying to figure out what they can do outside of now that they're not searching for cutie marks anymore.
And funny enough, we had Sweetie Belle, who loved to crochet, and she produced abominations. They were awful, and she didn't care. She loved it. Now, the difference is that no one was put in physical pain looking at that. So I agree with everyone that says a message about respecting privacy and care is important, and that would have been a good element to include in this episode, like a soundproof bubble. But I think more the encouragement to pursue your interests, even if you don't necessarily get good, is still a healthy thing to convey. Also, it also made me like the Yaks for a first time in a while.
Also, I recognize that Dark Souls reference and I approve of it.
That's right. Praise the pun.
So before I go, I think Moon Knight, did you have another point or were you done?
I think I'm done. Yeah, go on, Master.
Okay, so yeah, this is quite the interesting episode to dissect. And there are a lot of improvements that can be made. A lot of them already mentioned. One of the things that I came up with was have the opening start out in Yakistan. All right. And let's just say Pinkie Pie is helping the Yaks throw a party for one of the Yaks. And one of the Yaks is maybe like the parents or whatever. They're like so overwhelmed. They're like, this is great party, Pinkie. That's not the Yak accent at all. Anyway, they give her, they're so overwhelmed that they actually give her a gift. And one of the things that they also can do is the Yaks can be delivered that exposition of the history of the Ovidia phone. Start out with you don't have to do the lore yet. Just say, this is a great instrument, it brings happiness and whatnot. And Pinkie Pie herself is even overwhelmed. She'll be like, oh, I've never received a gift for throwing a party before, or, nothing to this, it's nothing of this interesting level. But right off the bat, you establish an emotional connection where very quickly I'll go into, we all know how, Pinkie Pie's party cannon, and more importantly, making Pony smile, has been pretty much her lot in life. So it's difficult when you want to introduce a random plot device, like the Uvidaphone. So when you go through and you establish emotional connection, you gently curve people in the audience into accepting that, okay, I can see why that she would kind of be, interested in this. But anyway, as far as the rest of the episode goes, what we could do is you start out where, okay, she's playing bad. She's playing out in public, not in any of her friend's house, but they come out, the townsfolk and even the main six, they could come out very quickly and say, yeah, maybe you could just play in the forest and learn from there. Or and eventually when she's not getting any better, they can suggest a tutor again, like what you guys have said. But I think it was Moon Knight who actually brought it up. You could actually have bring in the element that Yona is actually a Uvidia phone master, or at least very adept at playing one, and that way you can get one of the student six involved as well. So you got the you got the excuse me, you got the emotional connection uh, from Pinkie Pie and her instrument, plus you get to involve Yona, and she could go into more about the lore of even the axe and even the Yovidiphone. Maybe it was something that maybe it's of great importance, like it was the end to like a war or something. Like there was a powerful instrument in the past or something like that. You know, something that's very intimate, something that's very that means a lot to them. You know, so again, more emotional impact. But the other things I did actually like in the episode was, and this is first established in Hearthwarming Club, was it's really rare that we ever see the Yaks like most of the time they're like, oh, smash and whatnot. But here and what we saw in Hearthwarming Club, we actually saw a beautiful, quiet moment where we're in the Yaks village. You know, it actually brings them into tears. And the music itself from the Yaks, whoever's playing, was actually beautiful. I loved it. And it's just great to show that these guys aren't just one note smash characters, that, you know, they actually have a range of emotions. And I actually really love that we got exposed to that. But I have a couple other points, but I don't come out on my time. But that's kind of my little configurations for how we could alter this story.
You see, I disagree with every one of you about the practice part. I've got a completely different way that I'd write that. Because in Britain, a lot of our comedy or even writing, I guess, comes from self-deprecation. You can look at Pyrocynical or a lot of our works, and there's nothing wrong with being told you're bad. And the way that this episode was, it would have worked completely fine. I could have accepted the entire episode in the way it was formatted if the ending was changed. And maybe if you were going to show a lot more of Pinkie's perspective. So if we are absolutely hell-bent on bringing Pinkamena back simply for fan service, with the original time we saw her, she was obviously losing her mind, talking to Potato Sax and all like that. That was kind of basically what Pinkamena was, this crazy alter ego that was talking on her behalf. And we didn't really see that. So what you could have had is you could have had it start exactly as it started, because while it is a good idea to show that maybe she got it from a yak and still an emotional connection, you really don't need the origins of a MacGuffin that's never going to show up again, as long as it's there to drive the plot. And you could have had it play out the same. She's playing it, she's being very annoying, and then she gets told she's bad at it. And then she goes into her depressed state and goes home. But what they should have done is, rather than having the main six sit around feeling bad, they should have followed her home in her Pinkamena state and had her talking, saying, oh, they think I'm bad, I'm not bad, I'm good, and then driving herself to improve herself, to prove her friends wrong. And you could have had it where she's still bad, she still can't do it, and you could have kept the part where she goes to live with the yak. She has another go in her crazed Pinkamena state where she tries to prove them wrong and she can't. She goes to live with the yaks. They come in and say, we didn't really mean it. And the thing that made me really hate the episode was the ending, because they got two parts, to me, swapped the wrong way round. When the master yak comes to her and says it's a musical instrument of the heart, it's played with the things you love, that was after she'd played it. Whereas what you should have done is had her say that first, and then Pinkie would have returned to her normal state and thought about all the things she loves, like her friends, parties, making people happy. She would have thought about all of that. And when she played the instrument the next time, it would have been the most beautiful song you've ever heard, like even better than the one the master was playing. if we want to draw parallels, think about the Futurama episode where Fry tries to woo Leela with that magic flute that like shows you the future. At first, he's terrible. He can't play it. And people are like, it's his toy, doesn't matter. But then in the end, he plays that really nice song where you like see both of them in tuxedo and ball gown dancing around because he truly loves her. He truly puts that passion and love into the song he's playing for her. And you could have had that the same with Pinkie, where she's awful because she didn't know that knowledge. And when the yak says, you've got to play it with the things you love, it would have made a musical chorus specific to her.
With Futurama, I should point out that Fry was only able to play good because he swapped hands with the robot devil.
He cheated.
Which may undermine the analogy is, well, I don't know if any of us can trade hands with Satan. Aiton?
Well, plus also the entire point behind the devil goes down to Georgia and stuff like that is that the devil wins no matter what. Because if you have a solid gold fiddle and you're walking around in the middle of the South, you're not going to have that solid gold fiddle or much else very soon.
I get what you're saying, Spyro. With the idea, though, of telling her it comes from the heart, I worry that might undermine basically Pinkie's comeback. That basically now she can do it because she has permission. Whereas in the episode as it unfolded, she at least started playing just for the heck of it. No expectations. In fact, she was actually afraid to try. But she did. And I think that in that flow of events, I think actually works a little bit better in terms of encouraging people. You don't need permission. Just remember what you love. And again, I do agree with folks that maybe I'm not necessarily on board the practice. She needs to practice, but she does need some form of sound isolation so she can play her heart out, but others won't suffer.
That's true, but if we spent, because it's only a 20-minute show, if we spent 10 minutes building her a room, you won't be able to get more of the practice. Maybe you could have had where the episode starts and the room is already built.
But if you spend 10 minutes building her a room and going on a montage of her learning to play the instrument while they're building this up, this is an excellent opportunity for a song. A song where the instrumental part starts out terrible.
Instrumental.
And builds into something beautiful.
You
build her up to that point to where the Yakystani master comes down to listen to her play. And you build up this huge... See, to me, that you have this episode where someone comes and they're awful at something to start with, because that's how things usually go, is you start a musical instrument, you're terrible at it. I play a fiddle. I was terrible for the first 3 years. And then I did my first fiddle solo, and then I managed to do my first improv solo on it. So they build her this room, you have a little song. The music for the song starts out terrible and builds to be better and better and better, and suddenly you have something wonderful and delightful to listen to. A Yakystani master comes down, and she still goes off to Yakystan, and people still miss her, and they still go up there to bring her home. But the point being is that she has to build up to sitting in Yakystan, playing in a opera-style theater built by the Yaks, which honestly, a yak hut built as an opera theater would have been a really cool set piece.
That's awesome.
I mean, if you want to say you have masters of some unique instrument from somewhere, for crying out loud, the Scots literally have a mobile opera-style thing they set up to listen to bagpipes with. I would not put it past the Yaks to have a kind of mobile hut that they can set up that creates a small opera house. So why don't we have that kind of a build-up and teach both the lesson that, you know, you shouldn't just abandon your friends over one little thing that you're not good at, but also if you're not good at something, practice makes perfect. It creates this blend of reality that some of you want and this blend of fantasy that others want, where we still have the same core of the episode going, but the way in which all of the lessons are being taught is changed. You can all be mad at me because I literally sat here down 2 pints of blood for the last week trying to come up with that.
So you're saying your blood, sweat, and tears went into this? Nice.
I'd like to point out that we've made the joke twice now that Silver Quill has put Fiaura in stitches, and the reason that she was in stitches involved the bed. And I'm going to connect those two dots right now so nobody else has to.
Oh, Tater Tot and A1 return.
You know it.
Bam. Anyway, going off what I'll just go very quickly into this. Going off what Fiaura's kind of talked about, a little bit about lessons and whatnot. One of the other things that I didn't like about the episode was the part where I did like how the main six did confront Pinkie like fairly early on. Like it wasn't like horseplay where we waited till the end. You know, we got the halfway point. We got the problem addressed at the halfway point. But it was when Twilight said, Pinkie, you know, maybe you should stop. You know, you're not very good. I know that wasn't the exact quote, but she basically said, you should stop doing it. You're terrible. Which, again, the lesson shouldn't be about, you know, if you're bad at something, you know, don't just stop, you know, cold turkey, because you're not learning anything. You're just giving up. What she should have said was, God, allergies. What she should have said was, you know, Pinkie, you know, we all know that this isn't, you aren't very good at it right now, okay? But perhaps you go to Yakkystan and go see a master or something. You know, like, I know we've all been saying that a lot, but you know, just change that one piece of dialogue, and her dialogue doesn't come off as so mean-spirited.
I have to agree with Master on that one, honestly. I think, like, I actually love Master's idea of his idea for how to fix the episode was a really great one. But I have to agree with him on that point is, you know, it's just overall the way Twilight delivers her point. I was on board with the episode all the way up until that line. And once that line hit, it's basically like the episode was building up to something. I could see it building up to something. I saw it on the horizon. I knew it was about to approach. And right as it happened, it jammed the wheel suddenly really hard to the left and smacked into a tree. And at the rest of the, and like it completely boggled my mind. And I just spent the rest of the episode going like, like everything was working well. The whole episode was working pretty good up to that point because it was trying to tell one lesson and then it suddenly switched gears and changed over to another lesson. And I think, you know, Master Code, I liked Fiaura's ideas too. But I feel disappointed by the episode because it didn't commit to the lesson it started off with and it ended with another. I think there's been a couple episodes like that in the show where they start off, you know, you think they're going to go to one lesson and they move completely over into another.
Exactly. There's like, I mean, they address the problem, but there's a difference between fixing a problem and just pushing it off to the side.
You know, for a show that's all about friendship lessons, I'm curious as to whether there's been an episode or not where speaking tactfully was the friendship lesson.
There was. It was the one where Applejack had to criticize all of the basically the Project Runway episode for My Little Pony, where Rarity's holding a dress contest, and she has Applejack be a judge, but Applejack is kind of being a jerk. It's the one where Rarity.
I remember that one now. Yeah.
Yep. They've already kind of talked about it, but it looks like Twilight needed to take that lesson too. She didn't read that chapter of Applejack's in the friendship book.
Well, I didn't learn shit.
I was right all along. Although this Twilight's uh, rather poor critique, even though it was spoken from a place of love. Uh, I kind of take this as a cue to talk about my favorite style of critiquing, which is the pop style, POP. You start with a word of praise. In Pinkie's case, you've been so enthusiastic. It's clear you really love what you're doing. Just a little bit of praise opens people up to critique because they know you're not on the attack. Then you observe something about the piece. In this case, look at the impact it's having on those around you. And I think Pinkie would be genuinely upset when she realized what had happened. A big part of Pinkie's character is that she gets caught up in the moment and may not realize the impact of her actions. Where this episode feels a little odd is that she would actively seek out ponies and then be oblivious. That's a little outside the norm. And the final part is another P. You propose an idea. In this case, as we've said multiple times, Pinkie, would it help to get some lessons from a yak? And I think she'd be more open to that than the depression spiral she went into, because her friends said, "Just stop." I can say from experiences trying to write and do artwork, there's always some bozo trying to tell you, "Just stop, don't even try." These are the critiques that are absolutely worthless and belong in the garbage bin.
Kind of.
I mean, obviously, there's always going to be someone. Mostly also for me. For example, I wasn't real. I don't think I'm still that good at singing, but when I started, it was like awful. But some people tend to do that. Like when people think they're really good at something, even though obviously they don't see it as they're good. Like for example, playing an instrument or doing something else, they just wanna do it at, wherever they want. I kind of get the point that maybe Pinkie was too much caught up with. Oh, I love this instrument. I love how it sounds because yeah, we can even see her touching the instrument somehow. But regardless of that meme face, I think that they could have showed, like, for example, oh, you're really bad, or I don't know, having some really bad criticism over her, but her actually overcoming it, not just, or maybe yes, throwing it out of the way, but coming on later and improving on the instrument, on the obidophone is called, on the obidophone, like improving on playing or searching out for help or something a little bit more than, oh, she's just bad at it playing. And I think that's a bit of a problem with most of the episodes of this season. They just go straight to the point. Rainbow Dash and Applejack are too competitive, therefore their competitiveness is ruining everyone else's class or their friendship or whatever. uh, Rainbow Dash and Rarity shouldn't be friends because they're different. They're just different. That's why, like most of the episodes that have been like the low points of this season, it's because of that simplicity. Because of they just want to go like with one point without looking out on, I don't know, other possibilities. Like for example, having the Yaks teaching them, having Yona, maybe even Yona being good at the obidophone, maybe someone else, like for example, I think it's Rupert, the leader of the X, maybe Rupert being the good and teaching her, but I don't know, going somewhere else rather than just straight to the point and just straight to this lesson. And but yeah, the improving part, I think it could have been a little bit cliche because it has been seen in some of like other episodes, other series, but it was either that or going with the she plays really beautiful at the end, because I like, this is what happens when they don't go with those like two endings. Like she's just playing awful, just keep playing awful, it doesn't matter. No, it should be like, you're playing awful right now, but you can improve on the future. Like you can grow, you can, I don't know, learn other techniques, or even if you can't improve, maybe you would like something else, because that's what some of the later episodes tell us. Like you can search something else that you like, or do something else.
And
And with that I end.
Oh, I was just gonna bounce off of what Moon was saying. I agree with you on the idea that one of the things for a lot of the lessons this season has really been a lot of them are very simple lessons. There's not a lot of complexity to them. And I think with this episode, the lesson they wanted is a simple one. You know, it's okay to like something you're not good at. That, that's an adequate lesson. I can understand that. But they were building up to they could have had a much more nuanced episode. And that's the one that we were all there. That's the one that a few of us were talking about in the you know it's okay to practicing and enjoying something is great, but not at the expense of your friends. That'd be great. And I do also agree that, if they want to have that moment of, you're not good at this, you don't like that admission from Twilight, don't have it come from Twilight. Don't have it come from her friends. Have it come from an audience member. Have Spoiled Rich or something make a comment about how terrible she is. Have something like that, because having her friends say I think it compromises a lot of situations. They don't have to lie and say that she's good, but don't have them be the ones to just outright say, Pinkie, you suck. Stop playing. Which is effectively what ends up being said, whether they mean it or not. That's kind of what that's what it ends up coming across as.
It's the second act, though, that kind of makes the whole thing go off the rails, because when you were saying how they drove the car and took a sharp left turn, again, I don't think there was anything wrong with that. It was a nice twist to the narrative to not be, as Moon said, the same lesson repeated. And negative criticism can drive people to do good things. If you were taking the game industry, look at Scott Cawthon. He was told to kill himself after that Chipper and Son, and he just threw that negative criticism back in people's face and said, here's 5 nights, I proved you wrong. And again, there's nothing wrong with them wanting to take that road of her going into Pinkamena, going crazy and being like, I'm going to prove you wrong. I'll prove you all wrong. But you would have needed to actually be in her room and show her doing that, actually like trying to get better despite what her friends said, just to prove them wrong. But they then flopped back to the first point of view and said, oh no, we're going to encourage you now when we got to Yakistan. It's like they had 2 messages, and they were starting with the first one, then veered left turn for the prove you wrong one, and then veered back again for the final act.
Brank, going after your idea earlier for the audience member, did anyone else picture Sugarcoat from the Equestria Girls special doing that? She's like a prime example.
I don't really watch it on Equestria Girls. Remind me a little bit.
Let's see here. She has violet skin with white hair done in 2 pigtails, and she is exceptionally blunt to the point of rudeness.
Which movie was she in again?
Friendship Games. She was the one, basically she stands as a foil to Applejack, in that while Applejack's honesty is meant to help you do better and trust her to help you improve, Sugarcoat will just tell you you stink, and then she'll figure that's that. Which again is sort of that might even be a better example of constructive criticism versus just being blunt.
I think, I mean, the other extreme that they could have gone, it's like her being actually like extremely trying to improve herself, like sort of Whiplash, where he's just like actually having himself hurt or something just to play the the drums better. I think that actually that could have also been a good point. Like, oh, you think I play bad? Oh, you'll see now. And then she goes full Pinkamena mode, trying to improve herself, but really going into this crazy state where she not only plays the oboephone good, but she's kind of playing it too good for herself, something like that, or just hurting herself. like I I think it would have been a more interesting point rather than just you're playing bad. That's it.
And the other thing is that the episode doesn't actually, even for a majority of it, really go into oh, she's terrible at playing and that's the problem. On the surface it is, but really the real problem is that she is an ass. They're all like, the Apple family is harvesting apples and she's just barreling through the farm, you know, destroying the crop harvest. Rainbow Dash is doing her job and being a part of a race. Rarity is doing her job and she's in their house. She's at their place of work and disrupting and making them terrible at their job. Fluttershy is trying to get all the animals to go to sleep and she decides to play a musical instrument. They were clearly building up to the real point of the episode being that Pinkie Pie is being disruptive and rude. And if they had committed to that lesson, I think this episode could have actually been pretty good. But they didn't. They switched over to the,
I'll prove you
It's
wrong,
okay if you
lesson.
have your heart in it.
Exactly. Like that's a great lesson. That's a fine lesson, but that's not the lesson they started with. That's the lesson they wanted with, because the alternative is more complicated.
Like maybe they sorry, go on.
No, go ahead. I got a alternate topic.
Okay. So I get it. Like they wanted to go with what is it? You can play with the heart, but and they changed it from she's just being obnoxious and bad and everything. The point, I think, that it is like at some point they must have someone must have read the script and said, "Oh, you're doing this lesson again. You're making Pinkie Pie obnoxious again," like in the the Cranky Little Donkey episode, where she's just being so annoying with him. Yeah, that one. So where she's just being so annoying with him. So maybe try to change it a little bit, and maybe that's where they change it radically to she's playing bad. She should play by the heart. Like maybe they weren't really like clear where the lesson was going or what the lesson was going to be. I don't know if it's to do with the writer or anything, but I think we've clearly said some ways that they could have improved this episode, if not by making like big changes. Like for example, maybe not introducing a song. Maybe it was or wasn't the time for it. I mean, we clearly need some songs on the season because it's kind of stale here. But maybe just little changes that could have improved the story without like driving everyone as mad as they all are.
I've got some actual positive notes for the episode too, unless Silverquill wants to take it in another direction first.
I just want to ask one question. How much longer before Rainbow is forbidden from having friends and family at a Wonderbolt show?
That is an honestly good question.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, let's tally this up. Her parents lit fireworks in the middle of a race.
Parental guidance,
According to the End and Friend, Rarity sequins blinded everybody. Or no, it was a big hat. And so no one could see the show. Which must have said that. And now we've had Pinkie have a visual assault on the Wonderbolt eardrums. They're probably looking at her like, you know, weird people.
Not to mention that Rarity knocked out 3 Wonderbolts.
That Spike when he transformed into that big dragon of himself, he knocked out the Wonderbolts.
Well, I imagine
to be fair, the Wonderbolts weren't having like an air show in the area. They just showed up to be more competent than the Royal Guard.
It's still Rainbow Dash's friends, so...
With the Wonderbolts being a military organization, I'm surprised the main 6 aren't on some kind of watch list.
Twilight not having any guards?
Well, it's because they're all friends of Princess Nepotism. But at sooner or later, they're just going to say, Rainbow, we want you to be a part of this team, but your friends and family have a restraining order. They're not allowed within a mile of one of our shows.
Your security clearance has been revoked.
In before Pinkie Pie comes up with a telescope that sees 2 miles and then somehow still fucks it up.
Okay. So, for a start, I somehow have this image of Silverquill crowning all of us and going, in the name of nepotism, I give you YouTube powers.
Oh,
Okay,
great! Is this where I get my alcoholism and crippling depression?
No, that's what you need to start a YouTube channel.
2, I actually had positive notes for this episode.
I do too, actually, surprisingly enough.
So, 1, we find out that not everyone is sunshine and rainbows when it comes to the mark that gets tattooed on your flank. There's a guy who has a trash can as his cutie mark.
Rainbows. Oh wait, that's the sorry, that's spoilers.
And it would be one thing if he was just a random background pony, but he's on screen for like 30 seconds.
I really want him to be voiced by Danny DeVito so he can just be like, I'm the trash man. I go around Ponyville and I move their garbage.
Oh, and please let him be named Oscar.
Yes, I thought his name maybe should have been like Dumpster Diver, but no, Oscar. He needs to be Oscar.
2,
Oscar,
we get
he
to
doesn't
see
even have a last
something.
name, it's just Oscar.
We get to see something from the Yaks that is not Smash. They genuinely have made an instrument that, when played properly, sounds fantastic. And it is something they created. So we get to see, from this culture, something that they have created that is worth the time, effort, and energy to go find out about.
The thing is that like there's been like some overshadowing on like some of the cultures of them. Like for example, the Griffins we've seen with Lost Treasure of Griffinstone. We've seen that they actually had culture. They actually had a monarchy. With this, the Yaks that they actually have feelings, and I don't doubt that also dragons like they must show some feelings here and there or something. And you actually touch a very good point on that. They should, and I don't know why they don't do it. If this is again the season where we're going to learn about all the cultures around Equestria, but not exactly. It's like that Explore Equestria season, but we're only going to go to Manhattan for a tour. It's like they could have just shown a little bit more about the students, their culture, what's different about them. There's a later episode that shows a little bit of that, but I think that they could have gone with something like showing that actual Jacks have actually feelings, like we saw on Hearts Warming Club. Like they socialize, they have these rituals for growing up, where they do their hair and stuff, but they just never show them because we have to focus on the main 6.
Also, we are going off with your observation, because I agree the Yaks are so much more likable in this episode. Between this episode and Yona's participation, I think there are 2 things to improve Yak culture. First, we need to lead a revolt against Prince Rutherford.
I agree. I'm in. I already grabbed my pitchfork.
Note, put down your pitchfork and grab a pair of clippers, because the second part is to trim it so we can all see the Yak's eyes, so they can be as cute as Yona.
And so we can see which actual gender they are.
So it will be the sheer delight war.
Huh?
The Great Shaving.
You know what? Fine. I will grab a 0 set electric clipper, and I will join Silverquill in the Great Shaving. We will dethrone Prince Rutherford via salon styling.
It's just call it enough so we can actually see their expressions.
Shaving revolution. Revolution shaving?
We're shaving their culture.
Would it work though? Because they've designed Yona in a good way, but you say you want it, but think about Brock from Pokemon. Have you ever seen him with his eyes open?
Yes, as a matter of fact.
Another
Yeah. And it's
The-
horrifying.
the last good thing I have to say about this and about yak culture is that traditionally in history, when two cultures meet each other, the more technologically advanced and more disease resistant culture comes out to be the one that becomes more dominant. With this, we're seeing the possibility of why, with Pinkie Pie's fifth or sixth visit to Yakistan at this point, the Yaks have still maintained their own culture. It's because they have something stronger there than just let's go smash XYZ. This is not perfect. I want to ruin it. They actually have things they've made. So I kind of want to see what a Yak monument looks like, and I kind of want to see what the Yak version of the Odyssey is, if I'm
It's
entirely
just,
honest.
It's just a statue of handsome Squidward. Perfect.
I'm okay with this. It's better than what we had at the start of the season, which was yak smash, yak smash, yak smash. This be perfect.
I mean, if you
Hey, it's funny now? Is it funny yet? Hey, we're beating it over their head just like the Yaks are beating it to pieces. Ha ha ha. Is it funny yet?
I guess you could say they're beating a dead horse.
That is all.
You deserve that.
But then again, we get to the same problem. Like, there's more to these cultures, but we don't really see it because they only focus on, oh yeah, smash, dragons are mean, griffins are jerks. Like, obviously
So-
there must be a lot more to see that, but it's like maybe trying to justify it. Maybe we're seeing it from the ponies' point of view, like for example with the changelings. Like changelings are always bad, but then Spike comes in and changes that idea that changelings can actually be good. But maybe to try to justify it, it's like we're like the viewing ponies of of these cultures, and we only see this one trait. But once they open to us and show us different stuff, we can actually see that there's more to them than yak smash, yak break, whatever. But I don't know how much they will want to like go further with the cultures that they have. But that depends on the writer, of course.
I would potentially say it'd be nice to see, but you've only got one season left where you've got to tie up all the loose ends. And in order to do that, you would have to remove the latching problem. Like with something like Ponies or Steven Universe, you as the audience are latched on to Twilight or one of the main six, and you're latched on to Steven. You would really need to break free from that mentality and have something like Adventure Time with Root Beer Guy, where the main characters are literally just not in that episode at all, and it solely focuses on a random yak or dragon from that culture to see the entire kingdom as it is right now with all its culture intact and not looking at it from a pony's point of view.
Which would work really well in an adventure style show, which is partially why I'm hoping if they do decide to do like, if the writers are smart, Gen 5 will take place in the same universe but have a different style and tone. I would like try to make it more adventure styled, I think, since clearly there's an audience for it now. That was originally, that was the original aim of Gen 4. Maybe in Gen 5 we'll actually see that and we can explore these cultures more, because I do agree with you guys. I love the nuances of these cultures instead of, these cultures, a bunch of Planet of Hats. All Klingons are warrior races. All Romulans are dicks.
Gen
all
5, why wait
Vulcans-
that long? Just next season, send one of the main six and one of the pillars off with one of the students to their homeland.
No, I think that's the problem that like I pointed out and Spyro pointed out, and we're kind of pointing out like you it's okay, like, and we've seen it this season, like when you try to shove in the main six as much as possible in a season, and not focus on different stuff like the school, the students, the different cultures, you're kind of limiting what you can show and what you can't show. Because, for example, if I don't know, if next season we have an episode with just the Kirins or another race that is outside Equestria and then comes to Equestria and finds out about the main six and everything, that will actually make something, I don't know, give us a different point of view, give us more details about something else that we haven't seen actually. Because with some of the new episodes, like we've seen the dragons, we've seen the axe, and we can see tits and bits of character progression, like the axe actually crying or feeling something. But I think the problem is that maybe leave the main six a little bit to the side. Like, obviously, they have to be the main protagonists of the show if you want them, but try to be a little bit more independent of them, not just try to shove them in every episode because they have to be the protagonists.
Well, here's what I'm going to say. Is Sandbar, from what I can tell for the Student 6, is used kind of as our anchor point or the audience's eyes. Basically, we know just about everything there is to know about ponies. That's why Sandbar doesn't get a lot of lines. That's why he doesn't get a lot of definition. That's why he's more there and really laid back and just kind of exists. It's so that we have our point of reference. So if you use a main six character in an appropriate setting that's in a different culture as our point of reference to understand this culture, it could work. But you've really actually got to sit down with the writers and have them all write this together.
Go on, Spire.
But again, like, if we look at Adventure Time, Root Beer Guy didn't need that, and I could give you an example of how it would work. Chrysalis is still on the loose. Let's say she's made a brand new hive, and we are now going to be following drone 192386. He is just a typical drone, and we're not going to have any main six, no kids, and we are going to be from his point of perspective. We are going to be worshipping the queen. We are going to be doing menial tasks, shining the spears, getting ready for Chrysalis's big war in season 9. But through him, we can see how she is developing her hive and her culture. We can see that through this particular drone, it is their culture that they must do these tasks on a daily basis. They must go to these places. They must do these things for her. You have established this character for the audience. The audience understand who this character is. He is a drone. They understand why he's doing these things. And we also get to see the architecture of the new hive, as well as what the culture and mindset of that hive is, without having to involve the main six, because repetition can get tiring. Seeing the main six repeat the same lessons over and over can get troublesome, and that's why shows like Adventure Time did take a break from Finn and Jake for people like Root Beer Guy or that random snowman, because it's like, here's just a breather, just a break, and we'll go back to the main six next week, just to give you a different point of view in the world from someone that's living in the world. It makes the world feel more alive, because then when you've got like drones revolving around Chrysalis, it's not the world revolving around the main six. The world is now alive because other people are doing other things. Whereas right now, a lot of this season has just been, if the main six aren't there, then the world stops moving.
Everyone go. There's actually another, like, there's a series of books that is Wings of Fire that they actually had like the same idea. Like, books 1 to 5 is like the main protagonist. Books 6 to 10 is, it's not it uses the main protagonist, but it's like the same land, and it kind of got a little bit stiff-end and repetitive, because we already saw, well, in the books we already saw like some of the places, we already knew some of the guys. Like, the story was was really good, but it kind of needs something else. And then on book 11, they changed it all by saying, "Oh, here's a new continent, here's a new protagonist. It's going to be similar. Like it's still a dragon. It's going to be like something similar, but it's going to be like a different culture. They're speaking a different language. There's a different. There's even a monarchy in this continent, where in the other one there wasn't. And one of the dragons from the other continent is actually a goddess in this one. So it's like they could change it a little bit more if they just not focused on the main six. There could be so many other possibilities, and we've kind of seen it a little bit with some episodes, like for example where Spike has to take care of the pets, and they only focus on them instead of the main six, or where we see like alternate stories that happen at the same time. Like some of those stories are actually good, but at this point with like season 8 and like the future of season 9, it's just starting to show that they're kind of repeating lessons that they don't really like get other new lessons, or if they do, it's kind of similar to, oh, it's kind of similar to this episode, but they did it different, like this way. They're kind of repeating stuff, so maybe it could be a good idea to change totally. And I think that was the idea with this Student 6, to try to change the protagonists, and even with Starlight, it was like to try to change the point of view. But they don't really achieve it because they're still in Equestria, they're still tied to the main six, and they still have to use these characters.
Okay, well, getting off of our tangent now, and getting back to the episode in question. Does anybody else have another point they want to bring up?
I'd like to actually bring up a point from a YouTuber goes by Kyle Stubbs, which sounds painful. But he put forth or actually I should say this person put forth the idea, tie the Uvitophone to Pinkie's honorary yak position. Make it seem like she needs to play it well, or the ex will think she's dishonoring them. Then the cause of her depression would fit the scale. So just want to throw that idea out there.
That makes way too much sense.
I like that. I like that a lot.
So like it's important to her, because if not, like the diplomatic relationships are going to go like really bad with the Jacks or something.
And yeah, I think she could really put herself into pressure and depression, trying to be good at this when she knows she's not. And the lesson ends up being, look, just go at it, try to have as much fun as you can, and accept it. No one's good at everything. That wouldn't have been a bad moral either.
And it would have kept with the lesson and the moral that they had at the end of the episode. But and even have where she plays for an audience, have it build up to like a big concert if you're going to do that.
And it would legitimately be something Pinkie Pie could be nervous about.
So I just saw this in the chat, by the way. A quick flick back to our talk about the different episodes. King Bronze says, here's an idea. Have Twilight give the students a writing assignment talking about each of their cultures, and each episode is talked about from the students' point of view, so we see their cultures through their eyes rather than the main six.
So like narration flashbacks.
Yes.
I think that'd actually be pretty cool. That'd be something neat to see. And then you wouldn't really have to, dedicate all the time and effort into, making an individual episode about each, or you could do them all in one episode and just give, a quick little glance over at each one, say, hey, this is me, this is my people, this is what I do. That'd be a nice change of pace, I feel.
Or even real quick, just like the what is it, 100 Tales of Springfield or something, that Simpsons episode where it follows each individual character, and it's a single seamless narrative, but told from constantly switching between characters' perspectives, and you literally just follow that individual and see their perspective of the event. That could be interesting to see.
You mean like seeing how background characters react to main six shenanigans?
or even or even the young six as well, and even have it, how they're approaching it, how they think of these situations, how they observe and react in real time.
Well, I think that's a topic for another episode because I think we could literally write our own episode at this rate.
Hasbro, hire us. Just kidding.
Does
I'm
anybody
talentless.
have any final points they want to throw to Yakety Sax before I start throwing Q&A out?
I'll field one last thing about the ending. Again, I did have a problem with the ending part, was how, and this is kind of going to encapsulate what kind of everyone said, where, her friends admittedly did admit to Pinkie that, what, you're not good, but hey, maybe you could get better. But the problem was at the ending, it's like, hold on, let me see, what did I say in my notes? Oh yeah, we established that, okay, she hasn't been good, and by the end she still isn't technically good, but the friends are like, hey, you know what, Pinkie, you're not good, but you do what makes you happy. And I know this is a weird way to think about it, but the way I kind of thought about this in a weird way was that, think about this like in terms of a person who has a drug problem. Okay, so like you confronted someone and you found out, oh, you do drugs. Hey man, that's not good. You shouldn't really do that. And eventually the person they eventually do that by their own will, stop doing drugs. But by the end, it gets to the point where they started going through withdrawal, and they're like, this doesn't bring me happiness anymore. I'm not happy without my drugs. But at the end, it's kind of like saying, hey, you know what, man? Drugs are bad for you, but hey, whatever makes you happy, here's some drugs. I know it's a weird way to think about it. I'm probably like going way too far. I know I'm going way too far with this, but that's
No,
what,
no,
that's
I
my
see
head.
where you're coming from.
Yeah, but
Yes,
please,
instead of you coming into my place of business and disturbing my work.
Exactly, but just to end off that point, instead of the main six being like, hey, you know what, Pinkie, you're bad, but hey, whatever makes you happy, it should have been, hey, you know what, Pinkie, you're bad, but hey, there's a good chance, with a lot of practice, you can get good at it. Just one little change of dialogue just makes the ending so much more effective.
Also, the entire chat saying, I'm surprised none of us mentioned the best part of the episode, which was Mod Pie.
Can I ask you a question?
You just asked one.
Can I ask you a question?
Just ask one again.
You just asked one.
Okay,
Oh,
Harmony
damn, that
Dancer
was,
had
like,
best impression of
perfect.
Mod Pie. So, first question I have from the chat is, Fiaura the Tank Girl, I thought you were on a restraining order from streaming. Okay, look, if I don't stream, then obviously you guys don't get entertainment, and also, it kind of puts projects on hold at this point, so I'm doing it anyway. Yes, my blood pressure this morning finally hit 100/60 something, which is better than 80/43 that it was last week.
That was really low pressure.
80/43 is borderline. Is borderline pass out collapse for most people. I do admit that I do freak out nurses sometimes because I can be perfectly conscious and reduce my pulse to the 30s.
Jeez.
Is this like conscious decision, or do it just happens?
Conscious meditation. I do it sometimes just to make the machine go off and flip the nurse out.
I
It
just
does have.
rely on a whoopee cushion myself.
Anyway, Jason Goodwin asks, what is some cool stuff that has recently been made and what is in the process of being made?
In terms of what? Like our content?
Apparently for content.
Well, I'm so glad you asked, because just quite recently, as in a half hour ago, which is why I've been so quiet the past half hour, through Skype being stupid, Josh had released the first part of me and his of our collab on Triple Threat on his channel, but I didn't get the message that went public, so it took about a half hour until someone said, "Oh no, part 2 is now down," and I'm like, "Oh crap!" I talked to Josh, and now both parts of our collab is up, and apparently people are really liking it. So If you want to watch the greatest video of all time, watch Taking Seriously Triple Threat featuring Master Code. That's me, everyone's favorite analyst. Just go to Josh Scorcher's channel for part 1.
It'd be really funny if he was still dubbed in both parts.
My Your Mind and Ponies video is under edit number 3, so it should be done fairly soon. And the next piece of the Fallout Equestria bit I've been writing, which I can't say is bad anymore. I had to make a full confession video where I don't criticize my own writing anymore. It goes up Monday. It's already uploaded to the website. I just haven't pressed the big shiny red button.
I am currently working on 2 reviews. One of the script's rough drafts is about halfway done, and the other is completely done. I just need to send it to... I need to find somebody to edit it, and then I'll be ready to start recording it.
I recently, actually, I got in a collab with DGX90. It's Duel. I edited the introduction because I had homework and also I got sick this last week, but Digi edited most of it. I'm working on the review for Sounds of Silence because yes, either this week, so no spoilers. There's no spoilers now because Eric dies. And I'm also going to be working on a collab with Spyro here for Skylanders Academy.
And let's see. I just published a Pinkie Pie Says Goodnight comic, which was an homage to Spider-Man. Always loved the Spider-Man, my favorite superhero. And the next After the Fact will feature the Hooffields and the McColts with a supplement video talking about the psychology of revenge.
As for me, I've got a video about EA in the editing room right now. Now I've got the rest of the lines. I'll be putting Flipping Death review together this week. And beyond that, I have got a special project that I'm working on that should be done also this week, which I think a lot of people will like if they stick around.
For those of you who are into Dungeons and Dragons, the next Curse of Strahd stream is going to be on October the 13th. So y'all can tune in for that. And also, I guess I should let this spill out. There is something I've been working on in the shadows for a very long while now, featuring predominantly, at the very least, Golden Fox and Aeon of Dreams. But that's going to be like a long time to come. But, keep an eye out because it might happen soon.
I didn't get to say. I didn't get to say. I have some stuff. I recently put out as of, I think it was Friday night, Saturday morning, early. I put out my first part of my Let's Play of Bratz movie, the game. I know, really confusing. And I also put up a tweet saying what I'm going to be doing after I finish that, which, due to the majority, they want me to play the Telltale Walking Dead series. I also asked what else you wanted to see me play. So I have, if you would like to suggest a game for me to play, or something, or a video, or something for me to do, let me know on my Twitter. My link should be in the description box.
I like pie.
That's it.
I like things.
And
Well,
what? And a two. And I know what to do.
I think it was
Well-
more self-reassurance.
From the way she was looking at that instrument, I would say it was something else.
Oh my.
Giggity.
Well, that
Is it
seems
the
just
same
like
actor
Pinkie
for
being
Fiaura
Pinkie.
and Stitches?
No, Pinkie obsessing with something that she loves. No,
It's
how
almost
could
like there wasn't a
she?
whole episode where she went to another country because people didn't fucking tactfully say that she sucked.
How long do you want this podcast to go on? Because if we talk about people doing things and throwing their life away, we could just look at us lot making YouTube videos. I'm sorry we're not working a 9 to 5 office job. And then also you're playing games, throwing your life away. Well, I mean, look at the Yogscast and Ninja. They played Minecraft and Fortnite. I don't think they threw their life away.
I mean, I'm not gonna turn down free art, so
Yes, that'd be hilarious.
If you can, I mean.
Well, the sword of Damocles is over my head constantly, though I don't know if I could be that buff.
I'm such a
Well,
sweet
boy.
transvestite.
That's
swole
actually
chicken.
all the questions I had, because the other ones we answered over the course of this episode long before we got to them. Does anybody have any final points they want to bring up?
I think we hit everything.
I didn't really get to give my thoughts. I actually just woke up like half an hour ago and I'm like, shit, podcast. So I had to I didn't want to, I'm actually still lying in bed right now. I'm on my phone. So I didn't really want to get out and start up my computer. So it's like,
Wait, give her a minute. She has to attach her gravity detector so she doesn't fall off the face of the planet.
Shut up.
I tried to podcast
Yeah.
from bed too, but I probably just like more.
I do apologize that I probably sound like off, but hey.
We certainly wouldn't want her
Anyway.
to fall out of bed.
It's quite
Anyway.
Anyway, moving on.
Please. Honestly, this episode was pure garbage. The moral was kind of toxic. And, I was going somewhere with this, and I don't know. I lost my thoughts. Ah!
Looks like you didn't attach your thoughts to the gravity connector either.
I'll cut you. I guess everyone really just said everything I wanted to say, so I just wanted to say that I didn't really like the episode. I didn't care for it, and yeah.
Well, we do have you. You were asleep for this, but we do have the challenge of you have if you're going to criticize, you also have to offer them a better way to have done it, and try to find something good, because you obviously sat through the whole episode for a reason. So, what you got?
Maybe, I don't know, find Pinkie Pie like a music book or something and sit down with her and learn to play the instrument with her?
I don't think any of us actually thought of someone else sitting down and learning to play the instrument with her. We all suggested a tutor instead of a co-student.
Yona kind of fills the role, maybe?
don't
You know, that would
know,
actually
like
be a pretty good episode plot point if Yona didn't know how to play the instrument either, so she had to learn it with Pinkie. I think
Or
that would have been kind of cool.
or even learn it from Pinkie, but then the reality that Pinkie's not all that good at it either. See how that kind of plays into the role?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Or maybe have this episode not only be about Pinkie Pie, but another character in which that character discovers they're good at the instrument and Pinkie Pie has to admit it.
Oh, gee, it's just like this season should have been about the students.
Anyone else got anything they want to add?
Only that I came into the episode hearing all this terrible stuff about it, and I didn't hate it. I clearly see the problems. I have a great deal of I'm disappointed by what it turned out, but only because I was expecting something else when I started watching the story. I was expecting something. It looked like it was going to do it extremely well. Up until the moment it lost me, it was a wonderful episode, and I enjoyed what it was doing. Besides that, it's still very funny. The animation is very beautiful. It is technically still very good. I just feel like it didn't commit to what it set out to do from the beginning. It dropped the ball halfway through and then kind of fumbled to the end zone. But up until then, its plays were great. And I don't hate this episode. I don't think it's the worst episode ever. I'd say Matter of Principles beats it by a wide margin. But, it's clearly not one of the ones that you're going to go like, this is the greatest episode ever. But I enjoyed some parts of it absolutely wholeheartedly. They're some of my favorite scenes we've had in a while, especially for Pinkie. So, I came in hearing a lot of things from a lot of people, and I hadn't seen the episode until today, and I have to say that I kind of enjoyed it.
I think why you heard a lot of things from a lot of people is just mainly because it was fatigue. Like, we had Friendship University that wasn't the best, and then we had the Rarity and Rainbow Dash episode, which was boring, so that's the second one that was just dragging us down. So by the time you get to the third one, you're just like, oh god.
So we had Matter of Principles, The End in Friends, and what was the other one?
This is the next one, isn't it?
Yakkity Sax.
Non-complete clause.
And Yakkity Sax, all in a row.
In between it's hard.
And Friendship University.
It also
This
aired early.
This is all in a row. And I can see your point. I'm glad we skipped a week, even if it was because I bled all over my floor. Because skipping a week means that we lost that fatigue and could actually sit down and talk about this episode and legitimately have something to say that was nice about it.
I think the problem is that it also aired on a special or something. Like, this is episode 18 and it aired after the Chrysalis one. So yeah, people might have been expecting something better than this one.
Anyone
Well, I
else?
guess it's a reason to celebrate. We are past the worst part now. We've got through the 3 downward spirals, and now we've got all the good episodes aside from maybe Spike's dad, which, yeah, but we did it, guys.
Yeah, 17 that episode, 17.
Every dice.
Okay, well, that's the episode where Spike finds out he's an alien from another planet.
Go!
And then he has to say, I must go, my people need me.
Go! I gotta...
and then he has to marry a space princess.
Nope.
And he lives in a castle of ice cream.
And somehow I
Alright.
get the super crown placed on me.
So if
Die.
everyone would like to give their individual outros, before that happens, I would like to remind everyone in chat and who's been watching and who's coming back to watch after this airs, by the way, because a lot of you do that too, that all of the creators who are a part of this are in the description below with links to their content. Please do go check them out. And in the meantime, it's an even week, right? Yeah, it's an even week. So, Bernie Critic, start playing us out.
All right, everybody. I am the Brony Critic. I primarily focus on fandom reviews. I review fan fictions, fan material, content made by fans for the fans. I also do a little bit of writing on the side and a little bit of voice acting, though I haven't gotten to do those in a while. You guys can visit me on YouTube at the Brony Critic. The link will, of course, be in the description. And you can also follow me on Twitter at the Brony Critic. I try to comment on things every so often and maybe give my opinion on things I might be reading or looking into. I definitely will respond to you, though, if you say hi, so be sure to stop on by.
Solar.
I yell at things. People enjoy that sometimes. It depends. My channel's in the description below, even though you're probably not going to find too much stuff on there at the moment. But typically, whenever Golden Fox is streaming, I'll be there with him. So, I don't know, if you want to listen to me ramble about random stuff, that's probably a good place to be. Yeah.
Silver Quill.
Well, I can be found on both the YouTubes and the DeviantArt. If you do a search for Silver Quill or just follow the links in the description, you'll find me easily enough. But mostly I exist just to drive other people nuts. You think making puns about Fiaura and Stitches is good? Wait till we get Will back. He'll be the butt of many jokes.
Moon Knight.
Clearly next week is going to be it's not going to be the end of it. Moon Knight, I mostly do My Little Pony reviews, some video game reviews. I also do some covers, and I'll see you all next week with an actually really good episode about two quote unquote friends going on a trip on a really tight space. So let your mind go places.
On a 3-hour tour. 3-hour tour.
Now, yes.
Anyway, as for myself, I'm Master Code, your ace analyst. I'm on YouTube and Twitter. And as I just said, me and Josh's collab on Triple Threat just came out recently. So you should all watch it right now because it's the greatest action scene you will ever see in the intro video. You should all watch it. You should all watch it. You should all watch it. You're all hypnotized now. You're all going to watch it. Anyway, thank you all for joining me and everyone else in this fine podcast. And until next time, MC out.
Just as a note, Master Code, Hypnotoad only works if we can see Hypnotoad. Again, I haven't changed the image on screen, so only works if they can actually see it.
Oh, darn it.
Insane.
Or perhaps you just got to have a charisma level of 10 and everybody will just instantly watch it because you are that charming. Like myself. And I do game reviews, cover a lot of stuff going on in the gaming space, like how Activision has cease and desisted Spyro Mythmakers because they're a bunch of idiots, as well as first impressions and streams. Probably going to stream some of Super Mario Odyssey tomorrow, so that's pretty much what I do, and I'll pass it over to Harmony.
I am Harmony Dancer, Dragonfire Princess 7, whatever you want to call me. I go by many names. I am on the YouTube, the Twitter, the Tumblr, the DeviantArt. I think my Twitter should be in the description. Yes. And you can follow me on there. I'll grab all my other links for Fiaura later. But yeah, like I said, stay tuned next week for the second part in the Bratz the Movie series. That should be fun. And also, on my Twitter, like I said, feel free to give me suggestions for other video games or whatever you guys want me to see. Guys want me to do. Bye.
All right. Well, I would like to thank everyone for watching and attending, and I would like to thank my other podcasters for making this possible. I look forward to seeing all of them next week, hopefully more than we have this week, but I also understand that Will and Katie's wedding is heavily in planning. So, what is next week's episode?
The Starlight and Trixie one.
Road to
Hey.
friendship.
Friendship.
Road to
Ew.
friendship.
Oh my.
Yeah.
I don't think
More
we
than
want to miss
friends,
that
Yeah.
one.
let's face it, they're more than friends.
All the shipping.
In the meantime,
Shit like
They
that.
go for-
I do have a midnight stream tonight. It will not be writing because I know I'm not going to be fully up to full mental capacity, and I apologize for that. And I do have a Warhammer 40k thing tomorrow, as well as Fallout Equestria on Wednesday night. And the next chapter of the FemFiction stuff for me does come out Monday, as well as I'm going to be sitting down and piecing together the last bits of an update to a story because people have been requesting this update out. You wouldn't believe how many requests I've gotten for, when are you going to finish the updates for Bone Daddy? And I'm like, I'll get to it when I get to it. And when I can get props to, do his editing work. In the meantime, I think that's the end of the podcast. Anybody want to grab the last word?
Yeah, just before we go, what is my artist?
Oh, I got that. I know, because
Go on.
I recently just mentioned it, and we got to cash in on this meme when I said the part where it's like, oh, well, maybe we'll just put the super crown on me. That's what you're gonna do. Instead of Bowser, I'm gonna be Kodak.
No, let's not do that.
We gotta come on, guys. We gotta cash in on this meme, and I'll do it. Like,
No, we
I
don't.
would rather have the moth meme as opposed to the Bowsette meme.
Unfortunately, there is a problem. Our meme is not the peach crown. It is not a bottle of barbecue sauce in its various forms.
I know. I'll get into that. So basically, I thought about it. So basically, just I put on the super crown, and you just turn me into a mare, and I'm terrible. Basically, you shut up. Basically, you're gonna take that the first piece of artwork, the saucy silver quill and Moon Knight one. You're gonna replace that with me. I'm gonna be pouring barbecue sauce on me, saucy look on the bed. Meanwhile, everyone else is crowded around the bed, like with horrified looks.
See,
You
I kind of
couldn't
like.
just keep it in his pants for the women. No, now he has to want everybody to fuck him.
Wow. See, I was
Come
thinking
on.
of Fiaura.
Harmony's about ready to knock the goddamn crown off your big fat head.
See, I was thinking of Fiaura's image of me crowning everyone with nepotism to go forth and be successful on YouTube. Nepotism, the gift that keeps on giving to yourself.
And it rhymes with alcoholism.
So if we did that, what would the imagery be?
Well, simply
We give Silverquill the Twilight Crown.
no
The
anointing each-
Twilight staff.
I
I have a crown
Twilight
of
King. Twilight King.
Let Silverquill talk, guys.
I'd be adorned with a crown of barbecue sauce, and I'd be anointing each one with some dabbling of Texas extra bold.
Yes.
I've never been more proud of my own state.
So basically, Silver Quill being the king or queen of the barbecue, and us being his subjects.
Yeah, like he'll be anointing us.
I gotta beat up the ground.
The Twilicane has just the bottle of barbecue sauce duct taped to the end of it.
And with that, ladies and gentlemen, unless someone has an absolute final word, I think we need to step out before this goes into a rabbit hole none of us are prepared for.
We're going into jellyfish territory, lads. Bring the pith helmets and the torches.
Good night, everyone.
Bye.
Barbecue.
Bye.
Goodbye.
So long and thank you for all the
Nipples.
fish.
Ich bin ein Berliner.